Welcome, welcome, welcome. As promised, I have with me today the infamous Lesa Quade. And it's an honor to have her here at Studio 36. I'm very, very honored to have her sitting next to me. Beautiful young lady. As I promised you, we're going to talk about her new book. It's called Hardcore Survivor, A Life of Heartache and Pain. Tell me a little bit about this book.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. I took forever to write this book.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about doing it when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
And then I figured, well, I haven't really lived long enough to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I see people writing autobios at 20, and I'm thinking, what's there to write about? You know, you still got like so many more years to go.
Mm-hmm.
So writing the book, it's my story from, I would say, birth to 60. The goal was to have it done by my 60th birthday.
Okay.
Well, that flew over a little bit. So I got it done. It came out in February, and then I turned 61 in July. So I was kind of close.
Okay.
But it's basically just a story of my childhood, living on the farm, and then when I had polio, and then all the things I had to go through, the hospital, the surgeries, and
Right.
then out the other side, just life in general,
Right.
struggling, because polio is no joke. I mean,
Right.
even though I'm always smiling and everything, you know, it's one of those things you always got to think about.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause
People make you think about it.
Yep, they remind you.
They remind you all the time.
I read about 90% of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, and I apologize I didn't get to the closure part of it. But I was really impressed on how your story hit home.
Oh, okay.
Not with just the things that you did, but some of the things that I did.
Mm.
I was also farm raised.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's just too cool.
I love on the farm. I would be on the farm now if, you know, now it's so different. They have the wells and the propane and stuff like that
Mhm.
you have to worry about. Back then we didn't have that.
Right,
You know, like I was
right.
talking about the outhouse and stuff. When I worked at U of M, I had students that was young, like born in the 80s.
Sure.
And I would tell them I've got purses older than you guys. And then when I tell them some of the things I've done like on the farm, they're like, no.
Mhm.
Or say like, what is that?
Right.
You know, what's an outhouse? You know?
Yeah, they don't understand that. There was a couple of parts in there that I love these parts we was talking about your grandma
Mm-hmm.
and how grandma basically raised you.
Yes.
And grandma had told you to go out and get a switch.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. I remember it like it was yesterday when I was talking to my aunt about the book. She was surprised that I remembered so much because she kept saying, you don't remember that, you were too young. And I'm like, hey teeny, I remember it because, I mean, everything I wrote in the book is based off memory. I mean, when I started writing, it just started flowing. I mean, everything was just pouring out, and I can remember, and it's so much stuff more.
Oh, sure.
I mean, the book could be like this
Sure,
big.
absolutely.
But I had to find a cutoff point.
Right.
But when she would tell us to get a switch, back then they had hedges. There were no fences and everything. And the hedges had switches in them this long.
Yep.
So she tell me go get a switch. What I do, I go find, I'm out there, I know I'm going to get it, so I might as well get a little switch. So I come in with the switch about this big. Well, behind the door, she already got the weeping willow braided.
Braided.
And it's like a whip. You know,
Yep. But we learn from stuff like that.
But
And,
you can't do any of that nowadays
know.
because government has jumped in and taken over.
Taken over that. I don't want to say that I wish we could, but I wish that.
I wish we could.
Yeah,
I'll say it for you.
I'll agree
I
with
mean,
it.
it's corporal punishment, but it's not to beat the child. It's like to
You still need to get them straight.
get them straight.
And, you know, and again, your grandma was just a wonderful woman. I mean, you spoke very highly for all of you through your book.
I'm named after her.
Are you? Oh, yeah, you are actually. But it starts off, and we was talking about your mom, who was very young
Yes,
when she
15.
had you, 15. And I'm not going to tell everybody too much about the book because you really need to buy this book. It's an amazing story. And how, at a very early age, and I kind of got the feeling that you and her were mother-daughter relationship. It was more of a friendship.
Yeah. I stayed with my grandmother from about 4 or 5, I couldn't, I mean, asking people about certain things, I couldn't get just definitive answers, because
Sure.
one person would remember it this way and another person would remember it another way. So some parts I had to just cut out altogether because it was too confusing.
Right.
But they said I lived with probably from 4 or 5, but I remember leaving at 9 because my brother is 9 years younger than me.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so with being 15, we didn't have a relationship at all. We're 15 years apart, and to this day we still don't have that much of a relationship,
Right.
because I think we're like more like friends. Like we can tolerate
Exactly.
each other.
Exactly.
Like if I go visit, we can tolerate each other like friends. But I just don't have that bonding,
Right,
like the
like the
motherly
mother-child.
bonding. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the other siblings maybe.
Right. Big family.
Mhm.
A lot of cousins and
That's,
aunts
yeah,
and
that's who
uncles.
I played with. I never had regular friends. I only had relatives because we lived in the country so far back.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a cotton field over there, and there was soybeans over there.
Sure.
But my aunt had so many kids, and then my grandmother had so many kids, and then I was in the middle of them.
Gotcha.
So those are the people I play with, my uncles and stuff, and I'm still a tomboy. I wear earrings, but I'm still a tomboy. I'm more comfortable being a tomboy because my uncle, they roughhouse with me.
Oh, sure.
And like I said in there, when he would take me down to the levee and bury me up to here, I remember that. And it didn't even bother me. I would just lay there and go to sleep. And he would lay over here and go to sleep. And,
Have fun with it.
yeah, and then when he wake up, he'd dig me up and be going on.
Yeah. Well, see, again, that's why your book touched more home with me, I think, because you and I experienced a lot of those exact same things. Let's talk about real quick the polio.
Okay.
Um,
When I was 6.5 is what I remember having it. I remember, like some people in my polio group, they remember like the day and the year and everything. I just remember the year and
Right.
the incidents.
Okay.
And I had to ask like, when did I have it? And they said like in autumn. And then when doing a little research, they said that's usually when it struck. So 6.5, ripping and running the day before,
right.
go to bed.
You became very ill.
I didn't
even know.
There were no symptoms.
Yeah.
I went to sleep and got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, fell, and that was it.
Wow.
Couldn't walk anymore. So everybody was, what happened? What happened? Everybody ran to me because I was like their star child.
Right.
They still call me the special. That's why I call myself the wild child.
The wild child, yeah.
But they all just, my aunt and all of them, they hovered over me and they pampered me and they told me, we'd let you do anything. You were so spoiled, you could just do anything. I said, well, how come I don't remember that? I remember some whippings. They was like, no, you didn't get any whippings. Somebody don't remember. But it was just one of those things. I mean, I was not in pain or anything. I just couldn't walk. So my grandmother, put me back to bed and say, okay, well, tomorrow everything will be all right. So when I woke up, I still couldn't walk. So they had to take me to the doctor.
Right.
Well, because the vaccine was already out, and I guess everybody had it, I remember the schools giving it, giving the sugar cube later. But because when I had it, they were giving shots.
Given a shot, yeah.
And my grandmother was totally against that. You're not sticking holes in my baby. That's what
Yep,
she was
that,
at.
I remember you talking about
Yeah,
that.
I ain't sticking holes. So when they went to the doctor, I mean, the test they had to run, they couldn't figure it out because they're like, you throw polio out the window. It's not that. Because
Right.
everybody's got the shot.
Everybody had the shot.
Yeah, it's not that. So they do all this other stuff, spinal tap and everything, and I don't know how long it took when they finally diagnosed it.
Okay.
And then it was like, boom. They were just like, I mean, I don't even know what their expressions were or anything because, like I said, I was a little kid. I just remember that shot.
Yep. Yep.
Spinal tap. Oh,
And that's not a fun thing
no,
for anybody to go
no,
through.
I remember it.
Yeah, my nephew had juvenile leukemia and had to have that done. And I think the hardest part for him was when they were going to, they hit him in the hip and they were removing marrow, or they were going to see about transplanting marrow. And I distinctly remember just the scream. So I can
Yeah.
only visualize in my mind what you must have been through.
Yeah.
That early of an age and having that done.
Yeah, because it was one of those things where laying on your stomach and they're rubbing your back and they're calming you and then they're rubbing your back and then all of a sudden you get poked, and they always tell you don't move.
You're going to move.
You're going to move because the anticipation is, oh my God. And then it was just on and on, test after test, and then the part where I talked about being in the hospital and all the stuff I went through, and then you come out and I had crutches and braces and it went on and on and on.
Right.
So by 13, that's when I had my last surgery for polio and didn't have to wear braces and stuff anymore.
Right. Now there's an interesting partner that you're talking about, and I can still visual this, that the Phillips screwdriver.
Oh. That was like one of my funniest things because I knew I had a screw in my hip. I had never seen it. I didn't know anything about it. And I went into a polio specialist, and when they did the x-ray to look at my hip, because I was complaining about my hip was aching or whatever, and then they showed me the x-ray, and there was this screw, and it had, you need the Phillips screwdriver. And I just started laughing. The doctor was like, well, what's so funny? I said, look at that. I said, it's a star head. And he was just cracking up because he said, well, I never thought of it like that. Right. So I guess it was a metal screw back then because I guess they didn't have the plastic ones back then. But, I never set off any alarms or anything. So that's the good thing. I can go through the airport and it's like ding, 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 ding.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't happen.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yet again, Lesa talks about all these things that are in her book. And this, at the end of the program, or when we get this up on the web for you, I'm going to have that link to go right to, now it's on Amazon.
Lulu.com.
Lulu.com, okay? You can order it. Order it.
Yes,
Definitely order it. Because it's a good book. A lot of fascinating stuff. And again, I don't want to talk about too much because I want people to read your book. But a couple of other things that were interesting, what you went through as a young adult with the teasing.
Right.
And then as you got into you're older and you went into high school, and then when you guys moved from, Arkansas up to Jackson. Michigan, and then it was like,
all over again.
It was a shock.
Yeah, it was a culture shock because down south I went to like all black school. Then when I moved up north, they were black and white people. I was like, what?
Really? Because
in the same building?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the norm. That
no.
wasn't part of that. And I grew up during that era, and I myself was like, I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, it's like in there when I mentioned about we were riding a Greyhound, and I always want to sit in the front so I could see.
And Grandma
pulled me to the back, and everybody's looking like, get up.
Yeah.
And I'm crying, going, but I want to sit at the front. I want to see where we're going.
Exactly.
And then now, when we take buses somewhere like, which is rare other than Cedar Point, I want to sit in the front.
Well,
because I want to see.
You want to see what's going on. For those of you that are just now joining us, this is Lesa Quade. This is her new book. Actually, I got a couple of them here. It's our prop book, but that's okay.
Right, that's okay.
It's Hardcore Survivor, A Life, a Headache, and Pain.
Heartache.
Heartache and Pain.
But it was a headache.
It was a headache and a heartache. Wonderful, wonderful book. Again, it's on Lulu.com. You can search it. I guarantee you it's there. At the end of our program, we're going to have some links for you so that you can go right to it. So we'll take a couple of seconds for a sponsored commercial, and then we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Rob from National Pawn Door Highway Flint, letting you know we are here for you. We pay top dollar guaranteed for your old or broken gold, silver, diamonds, expensive watches, or anything of value. I know times are hard, so at National Pawn Door Highway, you can buy back your merchandise. Don't want to sell? Don't have to. Bring in your valuables and have a chance to buy them back. Best prices guaranteed on laptops, car audio, TVs, and many more. DVDs only $2. Just remember, we have the lowest prices and pay the most, guaranteed, at National Pawn Door Highway Flint.
That's great. Okay, well, welcome back. Again, this is an interview with Lesa Quade, her new book, Hardcore Survivor, A Life of Heartache and Pain. You got to make sure you buy this book. If not, you need to at least tell Lesa that you want this book. Excellent book. So we was talking about the difference between South and then coming up here. I guess, but you still, we're going to back up just a little bit because I want people to really understand about the disease.
Okay.
About that. I mean, all I know is that growing up and not being, quote, the norm, you're an outcast, basically.
Yes, and one of the things I found with my support group, because this is one of the things that people didn't talk about, you would be like an outcast, and everybody in my group went through the same thing. They were all outcasts. Parents were not supposed to talk about it, and it was like, keep the kids away from that child.
Oh yeah, you might catch it.
You might catch it.
Yeah,
You can't go out and like we had, like we had a lake, the creek. You can't get in the creek if she's in there, or the other kids were like, they got swimming pools, can't get in the swimming pool, because they didn't know. And it's still a lot of stuff. Like when I was trying to do research on it, there's so much stuff that's outdated. There's really not, that I have found, a lot of updated information on polio, because, and I think it's because people think it's eradicated, and it's really not. You can still catch it.
Get it.
Yeah, but people don't think of it as a disease. I think more, like say cancer, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but they don't think of it as serious as that, maybe because when I showed someone the book and it said hardcore survivor, the word survivor has been linked to cancer so much that it's when I said no polio, the girl's face just, she had nothing.
Right.
And it's hard to explain what it's like, because it's a form of paralysis. You can die from it.
Yep.
The only good thing is once you get it, you can't get it again.
Right.
But I worked with a guy that had it, and you go through different stages of when you get closer and closer, like you get older and older, you get post-polio syndrome, where your limbs get really weak. You have to use a cane, or you start having mobility issues, and I'm getting into that stage. But I fight it off. I mean, I keep a cane in my car only if I have to, and it's not vanity. It's just like I just don't feel like I need it yet.
Right.
But I worked with a guy that he was paralyzed, like it really shriveled him up, like all his muscles were atrophied, and he could use one hand, whatever. And then I worked with another guy that had trouble walking, but he was fighting it too. He wouldn't use his cane, and he really needed to, because his curvature, like we get scoliosis, his curvature was really bad, but he was like, no, and I can understand it, because you're already an outcast. Anybody that's different is an outcast, whether you're black or blue, or I could have 3 legs.
If you're not of the norm,
right. If you don't fit into a certain clique, you're just an outcast.
Right.
So that's pretty much the way it's been. And when people don't understand, like I say in my book, I want people to, if you want to know why I walk like this, or why I walk with a limp, why this, just, you can ask me.
Exactly.
I would prefer you to ask me. But people will stare. Like I walked in the store the other day, this guy was standing there, he's and he just went straight to my feet. And I looked him in the eyes, because I was like, you know what? You got something to say? I mean, ask me.
Exactly.
And then, they sort of try and look away, but then they end up right back down at your feet like this. And I just, it's something you just don't know what to say. You don't know what, I mean, if you don't ask, you can't just say, well, look, you got something to ask me, because then it becomes confrontational, and it's not worth the headache.
Is something hanging?
Right. That's what I'm going to like. What?
But you worked through all that, all through your life. I mean, that was, what I read was handed out to you, including the stories about your tattoos and the meanings behind those. And again, I want people to read your book to understand what those are. But the same with me as growing up. I was this skinny, scrawny. I only stood 3 foot tall. When we play, I hated gym because I was the basketball.
Oh.
I mean,
just toss you around.
So, even though there's a few years between us age-wise. I mean, we're very, very close. And a lot of the things, like I said, that you experienced, I've also experienced, and I know many others have experienced. And I really hope that they can look at you and go, wow. If she can do that, I know I can.
Well, that's why I tell people, I I'm like a advocate for people with disabilities. My son is mentally challenged, and I'm physically challenged. And a lot of people that I've worked with, you know, helping them get benefits because they're challenged in some kind of way, other people may not help them. They just sort of like poo-poo them away.
Right.
So I'm always trying to help people, because having any kind of disability is not fun.
It's not fun.
No,
Right.
because people won't let you alone. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. They just won't. And when I see other people that maybe they have a good group of people and they have a disability and all that, you know, it's like, wow, why can't I find a group of people like that?
Right.
Because it's not, everybody just can't accept it. Everybody don't take the time to see the person. All they see is this disability.
Yep.
And when I was going through school, it was like, okay, we cool long as you agree with us. But I'm not a follower.
You're not.
I'm not a follower. So if I don't agree with you, I'm going to say I don't agree with
Exactly.
you. Now you kicked out of the group.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so it's still like that today. You know, I work with a lot of volunteer groups and everything, and the minute I disagree with them, it's like, bye-bye.
Yep.
But I'm not a follower. I've never been. So I want people to understand you can stand on your own, and you don't have to depend on people. Like, it's okay to be a loner. Because if that's what it has to be for your peace of mind, then to me, it's best to be a loner than to be tagging along and let people treat you anyway.
Exactly.
Because Dr. Phil says, you teach people how to treat you. And I didn't think of that until he kept saying it on his show. I was like, you know, that's kind of right. Because that's that following mentality. Long as I'm following you around and you throw me a bone, you know, we good to go.
Right.
But when I say, I don't want that bone anymore, or I want a bigger bone.
Exactly.
Now you're done.
Now you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very true, again, life experience. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it is a shame. And I got to tell you, I am one for speaking my mind when I see whether it be somebody suffering from polio, they could have a limb missing, they could be blind. I mean, any type of disability like that, I absolutely have zero tolerance for people mocking.
Yeah.
Saying I don't, and I've more than once put myself in a position where I actually had the person say shh shh shh.
I know.
I'm not
like
going to
that.
shush.
I like that. I don't like people using terms like, "Oh, you acting so retarded."
Yeah. Because it's.
It could be the person next to you that's diagnosed mildly retarded,
Exactly.
and you don't
And
know
you
it,
just said
but
that.
you just say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And being an advocate, and then having my own son that's disabled, it really tuned my senses. When people say stuff like that,
Sure.
I get really offended.
Yeah.
And they don't understand why, you know, and they say it as a joke. Oh, we just joking. I said, but it's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke at all.
It's a realistic
It's
thing.
real, and it's you know, you need some sensitivity training.
Correct.
That's what I tell them, and then they get mad because I'm mad now. So I just tell them, don't play that with me.
Yep. My friend, my wife's friend, Jessie Sylvester. I'm gonna poke one in here for her real quick. You and her, I swear, identical. Because she's the same way. She just doesn't play that, and she's very, very straightforward, very spoken when it comes to anything. And
Overbearing, that's what they kept telling. My brother told me one day, "You're so overbearing." I'm like, I'm Mary Jeans. My mother, I call her Mary. Said, I'm Mary Jeans, because she's the same way. You got to speak up for yourself.
you do.
And when you don't, then you can expect any kind of treatment. And I tell my son all the time, he's so kind-hearted. He's so kind-hearted. People walk all over him. And then I have to jump in and be the bad guy.
Right.
Because I'm not going to allow it. And
Right.
I tell him, I said, why you let people talk to you like that? And he doesn't quite get it. But, you know, I'm just telling him, don't let people talk to you any kind of way. They're not your friend. That's my friend. No.
Yeah.
Those are not your friends.
Did it with these two.
See?
If Dad don't like them, I don't want them.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm always jumping in. But I just want people to understand that. It's like as I was sitting there writing the book and I think about all the stuff that people have put me through,
Sure.
they took so much pleasure in it.
Oh yeah.
And I think they still take pleasure in stuff now until I buck up and say no.
Exactly. And then it's scary the first time you do it, but then it tastes good afterwards.
I don't even care. I just be like, no.
Yeah.
I done got to the point where it's like, I've always been a loner, and this is the reason why. So I'm going to have to cut it now.
Exactly.
And I don't mind doing it. You know, it's like you just have to do it because people get crueler and crueler. You know, they're talking about kids are cruel, well, grown people are cruel.
Oh, absolutely.
And having polio, it's been a life of cruelty.
Right.
I just have to know when to put my foot down. You know, I'll let you be all right for a while, but then after that, it's like I'm not going to have it anymore.
Right.
And you
Right.
got to stand up for it because if you don't, they will walk all over you.
And continue
Continue
to
do it.
do that.
Yes.
Again, for those of you that are joining us, this wonderful, wonderful lady right here, Lesa Quade. I'm telling you guys, you gotta check out her new book. She obviously is the author of it. We've been talking a little bit about Hardcore Survivor, A Life of Heartache and Pain. This is a good book, and I'm very blessed to have Lesa here with me today and talking about that book. So we will continue with our conversation in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So we will be right back, and thank you all for joining us.
Hi, I'm Rob from National Pawn Door Highway Flint, letting you know we are here for you. We pay top dollar guaranteed for your old or broken gold, silver, diamonds, expensive watches, or anything of value. I know times are hard, so at National Pawn Door Highway, you can buy back your merchandise. Don't want to sell? Don't have to. Bring in your valuables and have a chance to buy them back. Best prices guaranteed on laptops, car audio, TVs, and many more. DVDs only $2. Just remember, we have the lowest prices and pay the most, guaranteed, at National Pawn Door Highway Flint.
I mean, I just didn't have the room for it.
Welcome back. For those of you, again, that are just joining us or just tuning in, my distinguished guest,
Distinguished.
just love her. She's just an amazing young lady. Lesa Quade, her book, I know you guys can still see it here. It's Hardcore Survivor, A Life of Heartache and Pain. This is a biography.
Autobiography. I don't know.
It's
life story.
It's a life story. And for those of you that have life struggles, read the book. Definitely get it. It's on lulu.com. I'm going to have those links available for you at the end of the broadcast on the YouTube videos where we're going to put it. We'll make sure we have all those links on there for you. We kind of left off about the way people react to different things. When you came from the south up to Jackson, Michigan, you roomed with some friends. Two of the ladies are very good friends that you had talked about.
Yeah. When we moved from Arkansas to Jackson, the first person I met was my neighbor's granddaughter, and we were both 13. We've been friends since 13. We're both 61.
Right.
She lives in Hattiesburg now. I've been trying to get me moved down there, but it's too hot. It's just too hot. But we had a lot of fun, and she was never one to treat me any different. I mean, she was sensitive to the fact, but she never pointed it out or made fun of me. And we that's how we stayed friends, because my thing is, I'm such a person with layers, I guess, that you have to really take the time to get to know me. Because my first impression, you could be like, ugh, I won't be bothered with her, and you don't give me a chance. So with her, I guess, and you know, like when you're young like that, a lot of stuff doesn't matter. It just matters being cool together, hanging out. You know, we dressed alike. You know, all wore earrings. You know, we pierced our ears and different things like that. She went to one school. We went to rival schools, but we would spend the night at her grandmother's house. And the fun of stealing her grandmother's ice cream in the middle of the night.
I thought I was bad. Oh my gosh, what was it?
Spumoni and Rice Krispies.
I was like,
oh my goodness. She started us doing that because at my house, you don't touch anything of my mother's. That was just, no, you get the beat down. We go to her house, and her grandmother would be asleep, and she had these back stairs, so we used to sneak downstairs and in the kitchen, and they had goblets about this big, and we would load them up with Rice Krispies and ice cream. And I was looking at her like, what is this? She's like, oh, you're going to like it. You're going to like it. Come on, you're going to like it. And she would load us up, and we sneak back up the steps. We would just have so much fun. I mean, and it's hard to find people that just stay in your life that long. And like, I was talking to her the other day, and she said, you know, we've been friends so long. She said, I just can't believe we're still friends. I'm like, and we only had like one falling out in this many years. And I had 3 best girlfriends and we only had one falling out in all these years. To me, those are real friends.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the other people that I know, I used to hang out with a lot of people. Everybody know me and everything. And then it starts winding down where they become associates now.
Yep.
Because after a while, you just see it's clear.
Exactly.
But with her, it's like, I know what to expect. We can fuss at each other, we can laugh, we can cry together, we can hang up on each other, and then we're going to call each other back.
Right.
And that's a real friend.
Yeah, me and John.
That's what I like about having, like she said, she's been down in Hattiesburg over 30 years, and she's like, I don't have any real girlfriends, I just know people. And I'm like, I hear you.
Right.
Because it's hard to find. You could be a difficult person, and with me being overbearing and outspoken and different, people don't take the time.
Right.
And to me, it's like friendship means so much, and some people just they don't get into that. They just want the superficial side of it, and I don't even know if that's the right word, but I mean, it's just like, long as you can get together, hang out, do this and that, but then when you really need them for something, then they're not there.
They're not there.
If you really, really need them, they're not there.
Yep.
They can say it on Facebook, but then they're really not there.
Oh, exactly.
So,
and,
that's the difference to me.
Yeah, and I have 3 friends that are like that, and that look beyond whatever the case.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, and again, these are people that I know that if something happened, phone call,
they'd be right there.
and they'd be right there.
Yeah.
One of my friends I haven't spoke to in a long time, but it's that same bond that we have, and again, it's when I was the one in need, they were there.
Yeah.
And always, and I was very heartfelt with that, because of your family, and again, being as big as it was, and the friendship that you had and the friends that you had, were very there for you. It wasn't, this is my friend Lisa. No, it was, this is my sister.
Yeah,
Lisa.
because my friend in Atlanta, we've been friends 41 years, and we always called each other sister. Well, her kids, when I met her, her oldest child was 3 months old. So all they knew me as was Aunt Lisa.
Right.
So they always thought that I was their real live Aunt Lisa. And then one of her sisters, who didn't like me for whatever reason, I guess because me and her sister were so close, they said, oh, Aunt Lisa, she was like, that's not your Aunt Lisa. And their face, they, what? They had to go to their mother and get an explanation. They're like, she's not really our Aunt Lisa. And it was kind of heartfelt, because I'm thinking, why did they tell them that? It's not that important.
Right.
I mean, I've been in their life forever, and they still call me Aunt Lisa.
Uncle
But
Kev.
I'm not even really related. And then, like, when I turned 40, I met the other side of my family on my father's side. So I have 8 brothers and sisters that I never knew.
Okay.
And when I went down south to meet them, they live in Louisiana. It was like a big family reunion. I was overwhelmed. Everybody knew me. I knew nobody.
Yeah.
And they came from everywhere. When they found out I was in town, they came from everywhere. I mean, I was up all night, 24 hours meeting people.
Wow.
Just the first day I was there, because everybody was like, we knew you was around. We just didn't know where you were. We love you so much. I mean, everybody was crying, tears flowing.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was great. And my dad, he would just sit by me like this, and he'd just be like, I just can't let you go. I mean, I just finally got you back, and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I should have known it when I was younger, but I didn't. So it was just amazing to have, siblings like that.
Oh, yeah.
And we're so far apart. They're trying to get me to move there too, but it's too hot.
Too hot to move back down?
It's too hot. I can't be down there 8 and 10 months of hot.
Oh, yeah.
I can't do it. I told my friend, I was like, if I move to Hattiesburg and it's so hot, I said, I'll be so black, my tattoos will look like somebody scribbled all over me with a magic marker.
Yeah.
They won't even show up anymore.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing.
No, I mean, because then it's like, you wouldn't be able to read them. They're just like somebody took a magic marker and wrote all over me.
You. Yeah. That's funny.
But
so how are you now? I mean, what's our future looking?
Well, being retired now 5 years, be 6 years next month.
Okay.
I've really been enjoying this, because I always said when I retire I wanted to do everything I've never done before.
Sure.
So the first thing we did was we went to Alaska.
Awesome.
And we, it was like, that was like the trip of a lifetime. And then, we've been to Vegas a few times, and then we went out east. We went to Philadelphia, which we'd never been to, and we got to see like Ben Franklin's graveyard with pennies all over it. That penny save thing he says.
Right.
We went out there and looked, and people had pennies all over it. I was like, oh, okay. But, me and my son, we like to get out and travel and do as much as we can. And then I volunteer in different places. I volunteer on Fridays at this church. They do a food giveaway. We service about 150 people a week.
Awesome.
And then, of course, I do my show on Tuesdays. And I was involved with several other groups, but after a while it just get to be too overwhelming, too much. And it's like I had to cut back, because when I jumped out of retirement, I jumped into 8 different groups.
Yeah.
And it was too easy to just, I was just everywhere. Pretty soon I had to back up, because I was like, hold up. It's taking too much of my time. And one of the reasons I retired was to spend more time with my son.
Sure.
And so I had to just start clicking them off one by one until I get to the ones that I really enjoyed. And then I was down to 3. And then I just, work my way down.
Sure.
But I'm always doing something. I can't sit still. But as far as future, we're just basically living day to day and enjoying life. And
are we thinking another book?
well, I'm hoping to do another book. I haven't decided what my mom says I should do, and this is a friend of mine that I call my mom. I've known her 41 years, and in our family, all of us had other people that we call mom and pops and this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So she says I should do a part 2, or she told me I could go erotica. Are you too young to hear that? No, she's 74, and she told me that, and I was just like, oh. I said, did you say that? She was like, yeah.
But you know, there's your source.
I know, so I was kind of blushing, and she know I don't blush about stuff like that, but I was just shocked that that came out of her mouth, because I told her, I said, I want to do another book. I said, but I don't know what to write. I said, first I think about decorating for cheap, because I love interior design, so I was thinking about doing that, and then I said, I don't know. I said, maybe I should just do erotica, and then I just started threw it out there, and then later she came back with it, and she was like, yeah, that's what you should do. And I was just in shock, going, no, you did not just say that.
That's awesome.
So I don't know. I would really like to do more of this one, but some things you just should not say, or you know how it is.
Right.
And I think that's why I cut off where I did, because I could just go into so much more stuff, and it would probably just create such a storm that it's not even worth it. So I think I'm going to change topics and think of something. I don't want to do like self-help or anything like that. There's enough of those out there. I won't mind to be something totally different, off the chain, but either something really funny or I don't know.
I actually thought about writing a book one time. I said, if you think your life sucks, read my book.
Yeah.
You know? And then I read your book, and I went, I'm not writing a book.
Well, I wouldn't say it sucks. It just was hard.
It was hard.
Yeah, it was hard.
Because, people don't... It's so weird. I mean, but I absolutely loved the book. And everybody in my family will tell you, I'm not a reader.
Oh, okay.
I am audio. If I hear it, I'll listen to it. And
see, I don't like audio. I like them in my hand. And someone was just saying I should do an ebook, and it's like I don't really know how to do it. I just like the hard book in my hand.
I wouldn't.
And somebody, they were like, oh, you gotta do an ebook because everybody has tablets and everything. And it's like, yeah, but I just like the hard book. I mean, I got a thing of books like this that I haven't even broken into. Every time the libraries have book sales, I go because I like that hard book in my hand.
Well, and again, this back to where I was telling you how I'm not a reader. If it doesn't grab me, I put it down.
Yeah.
And when I first started to read your book, I was like, okay. And then I went up and I got some tea, and I came back and said, I got to find out more about this. So it re-grabbed me and said, hey, read this. But it is an excellent, excellent book.
Sounds like I talk. That's what everybody say.
Yeah.
And they said it's a good thing, because I asked other authors when they say that, I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, it's good that people can hear your voice when they're reading the book.
I could.
And I'm like, oh, for real?
And again, even if they didn't live our lives, there is something, I guarantee you, in your book that will relate or hit home with them.
Yeah.
I absolutely guarantee that. And again, I thought it was a wonderful book. Can I buy this off of you?
You sure can. I'll autograph
You'll
it for
even
you.
sign it for me. There you
So
go.
when I become rich and famous,
We can say that her first interview was right here at Studio 36, Davison Talk Network.
That's funny.
And also, folks, so you know, Lesa also does a show, and it's on Tuesdays
Tuesdays at noon.
at noon. It's called The Flaming Pit.
Flaming Pit Show.
You gotta check her out.
And
for
I'll
sure.
tell you the story behind the Flaming
Yes,
Pit.
yes.
Actually, it used to be a restaurant. It was a steakhouse in Ann Arbor
Okay.
back in the 70s.
Gotcha.
And so I went there one time and I saw the big flame, and that was back when everybody was doing CBs.
Mhm.
So my handle was Flaming Pit.
Oh, okay.
So over time, everything has just stayed Flaming Pit, Flaming Pit. I have a DBA that says Flaming Pit.
That's awesome.
So when
is so
John
cool.
talked me into doing the show, what else could it be called? Flaming Pit Show.
Yeah.
And I tell people, don't put the G. It's not flaming,
Right.
it's flaming.
Flamin'.
Flaming Pit.
Yep.
But, you know, you can Google me or whatever, because I didn't realize I was on the web so much.
Mhm.
But you put my name in or anything like that, and it's like one from the library. I mean, just everything in there about Lesa Quade. I was just surprised. My son does it all the time. He's like, look, here's some more stuff about you.
Oh yeah. Well, that's how we found, because John wasn't sure if it was Amazon or where you were at. He knew. I guess he either had the book or didn't have the book, but that's how we found you.
Mhm.
I simply Googled your name,
Right.
and there you were. Boom. You know,
Yep.
just splattered.
Lulu.com.
And so yeah, it's a phenomenal book. I mean, it's such a great pleasure to have you here in my home.
in front of the fire.
In front of the
the
fire.
roaring fireplace.
You know, yeah. And, but anything else you want to add?
Well, I just want everybody to understand that it's okay to be a loner. It's okay to stand up for yourself. And if you have a challenge and people stare, whatever, just tell them it's okay to ask, because otherwise they won't know. And some people are afraid. They don't know how you're going to take it. With me, I'm just an open book. You can ask me anything. So just go to lulu.com. You can order the books, $13.99. And if you need to get in contact with me, I'm on Facebook under Lesa Quade. That's LesaQuade. And on Tuesdays, normally, I do the Flaming Pit Show at allpointstv.com.
Absolutely. And it's a wonderful show. And she's a very fine-looking lady, so you need to make sure that you keep up with her. And if you do get her book, let her know what you thought.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, she would love to hear from you. If I have to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 15.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not saying it just because, you know, she
So-
said that's what I'm saying. It's a very, very in-depth book. And I know I wanted to talk more about stuff in the book, but I want the readers to find
Right.
out more about you and the life that you had growing up and the heartache and the pain. And, you know, all I can say is thank you. It's been a privilege to have you here. I hope maybe we can do more.
Yes, that would be
Definitely-
fun.
Definitely want to do more. So again, everybody, this is Lesa's book. It's red. You can't miss it. Just
It's red for Flaming Pit.
for Flaming Pit. Hardcore Survivor, A Life of Heartache and Pain. It was a great read. I thank you for the book. So yeah, you get a chance, order it. Order it. Definitely order it.
Thank
Lesa,
you for having me.
oh, it's been such a pleasure. Lesa, I want you to come back.
I will do that.
And maybe next time we'll do the. We'll figure something out.
It'll be a new season.
It'll be a new season, so I have to, you
We
know.
won't be by the fireplace. It'll be a new season, maybe.
Well, but if you do interior design, then I'll just call you up.
Hook me up a side
So-
set.
Yes, Lesa Quade, folks, get her book. You've seen it all right here. Her interview. We're going to promote this. We're going to keep tabs on that. Studio 36, Davison Talk Network. My name is Kev. Thank you so much for joining us today. God bless. Have a great week.